The war began with silence. No warnings, no messages, and no time to prepare. One moment, Earth's night sky sparkled with stars. The next, those stars moved. They were not stars at all. They were ships. Massive alien ships entered Earth's orbit, their silver hulls glowing with an eerie blue light. The world governments panicked. Every defense system was activated, but it was already too late. From orbit, the alien fleet unleashed a storm of light that shattered satellites, burned cities, and cut off all communication. In less than a day, humanity's proudest achievements, its armies, fleets, and nations crumbled to dust. The invaders called themselves the Valorians, a race of tall, gray-skinned beings with eyes that glowed like molten metal. They were cold, logical, and merciless. To them, Earth was not a world full of life. It was a resource to be taken. The humans fought back with everything they had. Fighter jets screamed through the sky. Soldiers on the ground fired missiles and bullets, though their weapons barely scratched the Valorian armor. But humanity's spirit, that burning will to survive, made them fight even when hope was gone. In the middle of the chaos stood Captain Ryan Hale, a soldier who refused to give up. He was not the strongest or the smartest, but he had one thing the Valorians could never understand: heart. When the Valorians attacked New York, Ryan led a small team of survivors through the burning streets. Every explosion shook the ground. Skyscrapers fell like dying giants and the sky burned red. Yet Ryan kept moving, pulling people from rubble, shouting orders, refusing to stop. "Keep moving," he yelled over the noise. "As long as one of us stands, humanity stands." They ran through the ruins toward an old subway tunnel. Inside, hundreds of civilians hid in the dark, their faces pale with fear. A little girl clutched her mother's arm, whispering, "Mom, are we going to die?" Ryan knelt beside her and forced a smile. "Not today, kid. Not while I'm breathing." Outside, the Valorians marched like machines. Their metallic boots hit the ground in perfect rhythm. Drones hovered overhead, scanning for survivors. When they found movement, they fired beams of searing energy that turned concrete to glass. But humans were clever. They used the tunnels, the shadows, and their old technology to stay alive. Ryan's team hacked into abandoned military networks and managed to contact a few other survivor cells. The message was short but powerful. "Humanity lives. We are still fighting." Days turned into weeks. The Valorians declared victory, broadcasting messages across the shattered planet. Their leader, High Commander Kalthor, spoke in a calm, emotionless voice. "Humans, your resistance has ended. You are weak. Your planet now belongs to the Valorian Empire. Accept peace or be erased." But deep beneath the ruined cities and the ashes of their defeat, humanity whispered back, "We are not done yet." Ryan and his group built a small underground base near the mountains. They scavenged food, repaired old weapons, and trained every survivor willing to fight. Engineers worked to rebuild communication systems while others searched for weaknesses in the Valorian technology. One night, Ryan stood on a broken hill outside the base. The stars were still there, cold, distant, and silent. But now, among them, the Valorian ships shone like cruel eyes watching from above. He clenched his fists. "You think we're weak," he muttered. "You think you've won, but you don't know us." Behind him, Lieutenant Sarah Quinn, his second-in-command, approached quietly. Her face was tired, but her eyes were sharp. "You really think we can fight them, Captain?" she asked. Ryan looked at her. "We don't have a choice. Either we fight or we die forgotten." She smiled faintly. "Then let's make them remember us." In the following days, Ryan's team launched small hit-and-run attacks. They sabotaged Valorian patrols, stole their supplies, and destroyed energy relays. Each victory was small, but it sent a message. Humans were still fighting. The Valorians grew frustrated. Their perfect order was being disrupted by what they called primitive creatures. Commander Kalthor ordered his troops to hunt down every human resistance cell. But humans adapted faster than the Valorians expected. They learned how to jam enemy scanners and even captured a damaged Valorian drone. With help from engineers, they discovered its power core could be modified into a weapon. When they tested it, the explosion shook the ground, a blast powerful enough to destroy an armored vehicle. For the first time since the invasion, they had something that could truly hurt the enemy. Ryan looked at the smoking crater and grinned. "Now we've got their attention." The resistance began spreading across the globe. Messages were passed through hidden radio frequencies, using old satellites that the Valorians had ignored. People rose in the deserts, in the forests, in the ruins of once great cities. Humanity, broken but unbowed, started to unite again. One night the base received a transmission, faint, filled with static. It was from an orbiting space station thought to be destroyed. A voice spoke through the noise. "This is Station Astra. We have survivors. And we have something the Valorians fear." Ryan's heart pounded. "Patch them through," he ordered. The voice returned, clearer this time. "Captain Hale, the Valorians are not invincible. We found data, their ships, their command structure, even their weaknesses. But they're coming for us. If we fall, this knowledge dies with us." Ryan didn't hesitate. "We're coming to get you." Sarah stepped forward. "Captain, that's suicide." "We don't even have a ship." "Then we'll build one," Ryan said firmly. "We've already lost the world once. I won't lose it again." As he looked up at the night sky, he could almost feel the eyes of the enemy staring back. The Valorians thought they had broken humanity, but in truth, they had only awakened something far more dangerous: the unyielding human will. The war for Earth was far from over, and Captain Ryan Hale was just getting started. The cold wind blew across the ruined valley where once stood the shining city of Denver. Now it was only rubble, smoke, and silence. But deep beneath that silence, in tunnels hidden by fallen highways, humanity's heartbeat still echoed. Captain Ryan Hale stood in front of a dim holographic table. Blue light flickered over his face as the map displayed Valorian patrol routes across North America. Around him, tired men and women watched, their eyes filled with a quiet fire. "The Valorians think we're scattered," Ryan said. "They think we're afraid. That's what makes this moment perfect." Lieutenant Sarah Quinn folded her arms. "You're talking about Astra Station," she said. "It's still up there, but how do we reach it? We don't even have aircraft that can get past their orbital shields." Ryan pointed at the map. "We don't need to go through the shields. We go around them." The group exchanged doubtful looks. "Around?" one engineer asked. Ryan smiled faintly. "There's an old launch facility in Nevada, Black Ridge Station. It was shut down before the war, but its underground hangars still have prototype crafts. If we can get there, we might find something that can fly." It was a dangerous plan, almost impossible. But impossible plans were all humanity had left. The journey begins. 2 nights later, a small convoy rolled through the desert. The vehicles were patched together from scavenged parts, half military, half civilian. Dust rose behind them as they moved under the cover of darkness. Ryan sat at the front, scanning the barren landscape through cracked binoculars. The stars above were dim, hidden behind the faint blue glow of Valorian patrol ships drifting in the upper atmosphere. Sarah drove the lead vehicle, her hands steady on the wheel. "Feels strange, doesn't it?" she said. "A few months ago, this was just a road trip route. Now it's a battlefield." Ryan gave a small nod. "The world changed fast. But so can we." They passed the remains of towns swallowed by sand and fire. At night, the group stopped near old gas stations or collapsed bridges, always keeping silent fires and guarded watches. Sometimes they found other survivors, families hiding in basements, old men protecting small gardens in the ruins. To every one of them, Ryan gave the same message: "The fight isn't over. Stay alive. Stay ready. We're coming back." Word began to spread. Rumors of a soldier who refused to give up, who carried hope like a torch in the dark. Even when he wasn't there, his name whispered through the ruins like a promise. "The enemy watches high above Earth, on a Valorian command ship." High Commander Kael'thor studied a hologram of the planet. His sharp metallic eyes narrowed as red markers blinked across the surface, signs of resistance growing faster than expected. "Primitive, yet persistent," one of his officers said. Kael'thor's voice was calm and cold. "Persistence without power is only noise. Find their leaders. End their noise." "Yes, Commander." Moments later, Valorian drones launched from orbit, streaking through the sky like falling stars. They scanned the deserts, cities, and forests, searching for one man, Captain Ryan Hale. Black Ridge Station. After days of travel, Ryan's convoy reached the Nevada mountains. The old launch site was hidden inside a canyon, sealed by thick steel doors half buried in rock. The group worked for hours to open them. Sparks flew as engineers used torches and old power tools. Finally, with a groaning sound, the doors slid apart, revealing a vast underground chamber. Inside rested a miracle. A sleek, unfinished spacecraft stood in the dark, its surface covered with dust but intact. The name printed on its side read Eagle 7. Sarah's eyes widened. It's real. It's actually real. An old mechanic stepped forward, brushing his hand over the hull. Fusion-driven, stealth-coating, low-orbit engine design. This baby could reach Astra Station. Ryan turned to his team. Then we fix it. For days, the base came alive. Engineers worked non-stop, repairing damaged circuits and testing engines. Others gathered supplies, fuel cells, oxygen tanks, food rations. The sound of tools and the smell of oil filled the air. Hope returned. During the nights, Ryan couldn't sleep. He would walk outside the hangar, looking at the sky. The Valorian ships still hovered like predators above. But instead of fear, he felt something else, a calm determination. He whispered, "You can't conquer a species that refuses to kneel." Unexpected visitors on the fourth night, alarms echoed through the base. Red lights flashed. Sarah rushed to the control room. "What is it?" she shouted. A soldier at the console looked pale. "Drones, Valorian scouts. 3 of them coming fast." Outside, blue beams cut through the darkness as the drones descended toward the canyon. Their sensors glowed, scanning for movement. Ryan grabbed his rifle. "Everyone, positions. Protect the ship." Gunfire and explosions filled the air. The resistance fighters used homemade rockets and pulse grenades, anything they had. One drone crashed into the rocks, burning, but the others fired back with deadly precision. A blast threw Ryan to the ground. Dust filled his lungs, but he pushed himself up, bleeding from a cut on his arm. Nearby, Sarah fired a launcher, hitting a drone square in the center. It exploded, raining metal shards. Only one drone remained. It locked its sensors on Ryan and fired an energy beam. He dove behind cover just in time. His weapon was useless against its armor. Then a young engineer, barely 20, ran out carrying a modified power cell. "Captain!" he shouted. "Catch!" Ryan grabbed the cell, pulled the pin, and threw it. The makeshift bomb struck the drone's core. A blinding flash followed, and the drone fell, smoking and silent. The canyon went quiet. Only the sound of heavy breathing filled the air. Sarah looked at Ryan. "We're not invisible anymore." Ryan nodded grimly. "No, but we're still alive. That means we move faster." A message of hope the next morning. As the team repaired the damage, they received another transmission from space. The voice was weak, full of static but familiar. "This is Astra Station. We're under attack. Valorian fleet inbound. Please, anyone help." Ryan gripped the microphone. "Astra, this is Captain Hale. Hold on. We're coming for you." The voice cracked again. "Hale, you must hurry. We found something. Something they fear. Data on their core network. If we lose it, humanity loses everything." The signal cut out. Silence filled the room. Sarah whispered, "They're running out of time." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Then we don't waste a second. We finish the ship today." The first flight by sunset, the Eagle 7 stood ready. Its engines glowed faintly, humming with new power. The ship wasn't perfect. Parts were still patched with scrap metal. But it was alive. Ryan, Sarah, and 3 crew members suited up. Before boarding, Ryan looked at the people gathered below. "You've all done more than anyone could ask," he said. "You've built hope with your hands. No matter what happens up there, know this. Humanity isn't finished. Not today, not ever." They saluted him, silent and proud. The hatch closed and the engines roared. Dust and light filled the canyon as the Eagle 7 rose into the air. For the first time since the invasion, a human ship flew toward the stars. As the ship broke through the clouds, Ryan looked down at the Earth, a wounded world, but still beautiful. "Hold on, Astra," he said quietly. "We're on our way." But far above, unseen by them, Valorian cruisers shifted position. Commander Kael'thor watched the launch from orbit. A slow, cold smile touched his lips. "So," he said, "the human refuses to stay down." He turned to his officers. "Prepare the interceptors. Let him come. Let him see what true victory means." The flame ignites, the Eagle 7 soared higher, its hull trembling as it entered the thin atmosphere. The stars grew brighter. Earth fell away beneath them. Sarah checked the radar. "We're being tracked." "I know," Ryan said. "But we're not turning back." The ship's engines roared louder. Ahead through the void, they could see Astra Station, a small shape floating against the light of the sun surrounded by enemy ships. Ryan's heart pounded. It was a battle they might not win, but even if they fell, Humanity would know they tried. He looked at his crew and said firmly, "We're not fighting for revenge. We're fighting to remind them who we are." The crew nodded. The ship sped toward the station, a single spark of courage against an empire of steel. And somewhere below, on the broken surface of Earth, people looked up and saw that spark streaking across the sky. For the first time in months, they felt hope. The rebellion had begun. The Eagle 7 cut through the upper atmosphere like a blade of silver light. Inside the cockpit, every surface shook as the ship rose beyond the clouds and entered the endless darkness of space. Earth glimmered below, a blue and broken world, but still alive. Captain Ryan Hale gripped the controls tightly. Beside him, Lieutenant Sarah Quinn monitored the sensors, her face calm but her eyes sharp. "All systems stable," she said. "But we're being scanned. The Valorians know we're coming." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Let them. We're not hiding anymore." Behind them, 2 engineers, Elias and Marin, worked at the navigation panel, while Corporal Devon manned the ship's only weapon turret. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and barely trained for space combat. But they had something the Valorians never understood: a reason to fight. Astra Station in sight. After 2 hours of flight, the radar picked up the shape of Astra Station. Once a shining symbol of Earth's unity, the station now drifted in silence. Its solar panels were cracked, its outer hull scarred by battle. But what made Ryan's pulse quicken was the swarm of Valorian interceptors orbiting it. Sleek ships that moved with mechanical precision. Marin whispered, "There's no way through them." Ryan stared at the display. "There's always a way. We just have to make one." Sarah looked at him. "Captain, if we go straight in, we'll be vaporized." "Not if we distract them," Ryan said. "Elias, how strong are the ship's flares?" "Strong enough to blind their sensors for maybe 20 seconds, Elias replied. Ryan nodded. "Then that's our window. Once we're close, we split their formation and punch through. Get us to Astra before they realize what happened." Sarah smiled faintly. "You really like impossible plans, don't you?" Ryan grinned back. "They're the only kind that work." The chase as the Eagle 7 approached, alarms blared across the Valorian fleet. Metallic voices echoed through their command channels. "Human vessel detected. Origin unknown. Intercept immediately." From the lead ship, 3 interceptors launched. Their blue engines burned against the black of space as they raced toward Ryan's ship. "Here they come," Devon shouted. Ryan steered the ship hard to the left. Laser fire streaked past, lighting the void. The Eagle 7 shook violently, but its hull held firm. "Flares, now," Ryan ordered. Elias hit the switch, and bright bursts of white light exploded behind them. The interceptor's scanners flickered, momentarily blinded. "Go, go, go!" Sarah shouted. Ryan pushed the engines to full power. The ship darted forward, slipping through the narrow gap between 2 enemy vessels. For a moment, they were inside the Valorian formation, surrounded but unseen. Sarah's fingers flew over the console. "We're through their net, but they're rerouting." "Then we don't stop," Ryan said. "Prepare docking sequence with Astra Station." Inside Astra Station, the station came into view, massive, silent, and scarred. Its once bright windows were dark. Small fires still burned inside some sections. As they approached the docking bay, Ryan could see the damage, metal torn open like paper. "We're getting a weak signal," Marin said. "It's them. Survivors." Ryan leaned forward. "Astra Station, this is Captain Ryan Hale. We're here to help." The reply came through static. "Hale, thank the stars. This is Dr. Anya Voss. We're down to a handful of people. The Valorians hit us hard. We barely have life support. Please hurry." "We're docking now," Ryan said. "Hold on." The Eagle 7 connected to the station with a heavy thud. The airlock sealed and the crew moved quickly, weapons ready. The corridor ahead was dark, filled with drifting dust and sparks. Ryan led the way, flashlight in one hand, rifle in the other. His boots clanged softly on the metal floor. The silence was heavy, broken only by the faint hum of dying machines. "Over here," a voice called weakly. They turned a corner and found Dr. Voss and 3 surviving crew members. Her face was pale, her uniform torn, but her eyes still burned with determination. "Thank heavens," she breathed. "We thought we were the last." Ryan lowered his weapon. "You're not. Humanity's still fighting," Voss nodded. "We have something important. Data from the Valorian core network." "We were decoding it when they attacked," Sarah asked quickly. "What kind of data?" their command systems, weaknesses in their control protocols. If we can send this to the resistance on Earth, it could change everything. Ryan smiled faintly. Then let's get it home. But before they could move, the station trembled violently. Sirens wailed. Marin shouted, "Valorian ships are locking on us." Ryan cursed under his breath. "They found us faster than I thought. We need to defend this station." The battle begins. Through the cracked windows, flashes of blue light filled the sky. The Valorian interceptors had surrounded Astra Station. Their weapons charged, aiming to destroy it completely. Ryan ran back to the ship. "Elias, can we use the Eagle's cannons?" "Limited power, Captain," Elias said. "But I can reroute the engine's core to boost them for a few minutes." "Do it. Sarah, you and Devon take the turret. I'll pilot from the dock." Outside, the first volley hit the station. The walls shook and fire erupted from one of the outer modules. Ryan strapped in and activated the ship's systems. "All right," he muttered. "Let's show them humans don't run." The Eagle 7 detached from the dock and spun into the battlefield. Laser fire streaked past. Ryan maneuvered hard, dodging blasts while Sarah fired the turrets. 2 enemy fighters exploded in bursts of blue light. "Nice shot," Ryan shouted. Sarah grinned. "Guess I still remember training day." But more enemy ships approached, too many to count. The station wouldn't last long. Then Dr. Voss's voice came over the radio. "Captain, if you can protect us for 5 minutes, I can finish transmitting the data to Earth." Ryan's answer was immediate. "You've got 5 minutes. Make them count." He pushed the engines harder. The Eagle 7 darted around the station, drawing enemy fire away. Every explosion made the ship shake. Every near hit burned the hull, but they kept fighting. Marin shouted from the back, "Shields are dropping." "Then we fight without them," Ryan yelled. "We're not done yet." The turning point, just when it seemed hopeless, a new signal appeared on the radar. Multiple small crafts rising from Earth's surface. Sarah's eyes widened. "Look, resistance ships." From the clouds below, old Earth-made shuttles and fighters, rebuilt and repurposed, rose into space. The underground resistance had heard Astra's signal and launched their own attack. "Human ships incoming," Devon shouted, almost laughing. "We're not alone." The newcomers joined the battle, firing missiles and lasers at the Valorians. For the first time, the enemy fleet faltered. The perfect formation of silver ships broke apart under the human counterattack. Ryan felt a surge of pride. "That's it. Push them back." The space around Astra Station became a storm of light and motion. Humans and Valorians fought fiercely, the dark void flashing with explosions. Inside the station, Dr. Voss completed the data transfer. "Transmission complete," she said, tears in her eyes. "Earth has it." Sarah looked back at Ryan. "We did it." But the celebration was short-lived. The Valorian command ship began charging a massive energy weapon. A single blast from it could destroy the station and every ship nearby. Marin shouted, "Captain, they're powering up something huge." Ryan stared at the display. "Then we stop it before it fires." The sacrifice Ryan made his decision quickly. "Elias, reroute everything to the engines. We're going to ram their weapon core." Sarah turned to him in shock. "That's suicide!" He looked at her calmly. "If we don't, everyone dies. Astra, the resistance, all of it. We can't let that happen." There was silence for a moment. Then Sarah nodded. "Then I'm staying with you?" Ryan smiled faintly. "Didn't think you'd let me go alone." The crew worked fast, powering up the ship's engines until they glowed white-hot. The Eagle 7 turned toward the massive Valorian ship. From the station, Dr. Voss's voice trembled. "Captain Hale." "Thank you." Ryan's voice was steady. "Tell them to keep fighting." The Eagle 7 shot forward like a meteor. Enemy fire hit from all sides, but it didn't slow. The ship slammed into the Valorian cannon core, and a blinding explosion filled the void. For a long moment, everything went silent. Then slowly, the light faded. The command ship was gone. The remaining Valorian vessels scattered, retreating into the dark. Astra Station, damaged but alive, floated quietly among the stars. The resistance fleet cheered through their comms. Earth had witnessed hope again. The explosion of the Valorian command ship still echoed in the vacuum of space. Astra Station, though battered and smoking, floated quietly among the stars. The human resistance had survived what many thought impossible. But for Captain Ryan Hale, survival was no longer certain. His ship, the Eagle 7, had vanished in the blaze of energy. leaving only faint debris drifting into the void. Despite the uncertainty, the human spirit did not falter. Survivors aboard Astra Station looked toward Earth with renewed determination. Lieutenant Sarah Quinn, though grief-stricken, took charge of the station's operations. Her hands were steady, her mind sharp and her voice calm as she rallied the remaining crew. "Captain Hale may be gone," she said, addressing the group of engineers and soldiers gathered in the main hall. "But his mission lives. The Valorians are not invincible. Humanity will rise again, stronger than before." The crew nodded silently, eyes reflecting the flickering lights of the damaged station. They had seen impossible odds, yet somehow they endured. And endurance, they realized, was humanity's greatest weapon. A new threat. Even as the Resistance celebrated small victories, the Valorians were far from defeated. Reports from orbital satellites showed fleets repairing and regrouping, more organized and more ruthless than before. High Commander Kael'thor did not forget the humiliation of the Eagle 7 sacrifice. His eyes, metallic and cold, burned with a new resolve. "They underestimated humans once," Kael'thor said to his officers. "They will not survive a second chance. Find them, destroy them. Leave no spark of rebellion alive." Below, the Valorian interceptors had begun patrolling Earth again, their glowing eyes scanning for signs of hidden human activity. Cities remained in ruins, but the underground resistance had grown bolder. Smugglers, engineers, and former soldiers now coordinated in secret. Word of Astra Station's survival spread like wildfire, inspiring hope in countless hearts. The survivor far beyond Astra Station, in the black void where the Eagle 7 had vanished, something stirred. Amid floating debris and twisted metal, a single figure struggled to remain conscious. Captain Ryan Hale clung to a piece of wreckage, his suit punctured in places, his breath heavy. For hours he drifted, unsure of direction, unsure if he would survive. And yet, against all odds, his human instinct, the will to live, kept him moving. He tapped his communicator repeatedly, hoping for any sign of life. Static crackled, then a faint, familiar voice answered. "Captain." "Is that you?" Ryan's heart leapt. "Sarah?" "Yes," she replied, relief thick in her voice. We thought you were gone." "I'm not gone," Ryan said, voice hoarse. "I'm still here. I'll get back." The survivors aboard Astra Station quickly coordinated a rescue plan. They had only one small shuttle, but it was enough to recover Ryan if he could hold on. And so, even as the Valorians rebuilt their fleets, humanity took another bold step, saving one of their own, proving that no human is ever truly defeated. Return to Earth, Ryan's rescue marked a turning point. Though weak and injured, he returned to Earth with Astra Station's crew, carrying not only the Valorian data but also an unbroken spirit. On the ground, resistance cells greeted him with cheers. Soldiers, engineers, and civilians, those who had survived the first wave of destruction, marched together. They carried makeshift flags and banners, symbols of unity and defiance. For Ryan, seeing them was both humbling and inspiring. "This is what we fight for," he said to Sarah. "Not just victory, not just revenge. This is for the people who refuse to give up." Sarah nodded. "You've inspired more than just soldiers, Ryan. You've inspired a planet." The data they brought revealed crucial information about the Valorian fleet, communication channels, weak points in energy cores, and patterns in their attack formations. Engineers worked tirelessly to adapt this knowledge into weapons and tactics that could match Valorian technology. The first counterstrike within weeks, the humans struck back. Small squads infiltrated Valorian-occupied zones, sabotaging energy plants and relay stations. Resistance fighters used stealth, speed, and ingenuity, avoiding direct confrontations while inflicting maximum damage. Ryan led one of the first counterstrikes personally. Flying a rebuilt shuttle, he and a team of volunteers navigated a valley patrolled by Valorian drones. Using techniques learned from the Eagle 7's fight, they disabled several drones and destroyed an energy relay, sending a signal of defiance to the scattered Valorian fleet. "Every victory counts," Ryan said as the drones exploded in blue fire. "Even small ones remind them that humans don't surrender." Across the globe, messages of hope spread through underground networks. Civilians joined in, feeding the resistance, helping engineers, and spreading information. Humanity, thought broken, was slowly rising like a phoenix from the ashes. The cost of courage, yet every victory came with a cost. Cities remained shattered. Countless lives had been lost and the Valorians adapted to every human tactic. Ryan himself bore the scars of battle. His body bruised, his arms bandaged, his mind haunted by the lives he could not save. In a quiet moment, he walked through the ruins of a city that had once been thriving. Children peered from makeshift shelters, their eyes wide with curiosity and fear. A small boy stepped forward and whispered, "Are we really going to win?" Ryan knelt to meet his gaze. "Yes," he said firmly. "We've lost a lot, but we're still here. And as long as we're here, we fight. That's what makes us human." The boy nodded, a spark of hope lighting his face. And in that moment, Ryan realized that victory was more than just destroying the enemy. It was inspiring courage, hope, and resilience. The gathering stormed despite human victories. The Valorians were far from defeated. High Commander Kyle Thor studied the new resistance data, his fury growing with each human strike. He launched massive patrols and began reinforcing key positions on Earth. "Do not underestimate them," Kyle Thor warned. "They are fragile yet persistent. Destroy them before they grow stronger." But humans had learned to adapt. The combined knowledge from Astra Station, Ryan's experience, and underground intelligence allowed the resistance to anticipate Valorian attacks and respond effectively. Every battle became a test of wits and courage. And every victory, no matter how small, reminded the Valorians that humanity's heart could never be measured by size or numbers. A symbol of defiance, back at the rebuilt base near the mountains, Ryan addressed the resistance leaders. The room was crowded with survivors, engineers, soldiers, civilians, and scouts. A map of Earth displayed their coordinated efforts, with red markers showing Valorian positions and green marking resistance zones. "This is more than a fight for territory," Ryan said, voice echoing through the room. "It's a fight for our identity, for every human who has been told they're weak or insignificant. The Valorians may have power, but we have courage, ingenuity, and heart, and that is unstoppable." Sarah stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You've shown them what humans are capable of. Even when it seems impossible, we survive. We fight, we endure." Ryan nodded. "And we will continue to endure. For Earth, for humanity, for every life that refuses to bow." Hope rekindled as the sun rose over the mountains, its light spilling across ruins and hidden settlements. People emerged from hiding. They repaired homes, cleared streets, and began planting seeds in gardens. The Earth, though scarred, was alive. News of Ryan's survival spread across the planet. It became a legend told around fires, in schools, and in secret gatherings of resistance cells. They claimed victory, people said. But one human refused to stay down. Every human who stood and fought, no matter how small their contribution, became part of that story. Humanity was no longer merely surviving. They were fighting back, reclaiming their home, and inspiring courage across the world. Even in the darkest hours, hope burned brighter than fear. And as Ryan looked at the horizon, he knew that humanity's story was far from over, because one human refused to stay down. And that was enough to ignite the spark that would one day set the stars on fire. The horizon over Earth's mountains glowed with the first rays of dawn. It was a quiet, fragile moment, a brief pause before the storm returned. Captain Ryan Hale stood atop a ruined building, surveying the growing human resistance below. From scattered camps to hidden bunkers, survivors were gathering, rebuilding and preparing to strike back against the alien occupiers. The war had lasted months. Humanity had endured devastation, loss, and despair. Cities had fallen, loved ones had died, and countless battles had seemed hopeless. Yet Ryan had survived. Astra Station's data had been transmitted, and the spark of rebellion had grown into a global flame. "Today," Ryan said, voice steady and filled with resolve, "we remind the Valorians who we are. Today, humanity takes the fight to them." Beside him, Lieutenant Sarah Quinn checked the coordinates on a tablet. "The Valorians are massing near the old orbital stations. Their fleet is stronger than ever, but we know their weaknesses now. We have a chance," Ryan nodded. "Then we take it." The final plan inside the makeshift command center. The leaders of the resistance gathered around a holographic map of the solar system. Dotted in red were Valorian ships and outposts. In green, human forces preparing to strike. "This is it," Ryan said, tracing a path with his finger. "A coordinated attack from land, air, and space. The Valorians have not faced united humanity before. We hit them together, and we hit them hard." An engineer spoke up. "Captain, the shuttles are ready, but the fleet is limited. If we're outnumbered..." Ryan looked at him firmly. Then we fight smarter, not just harder. We have ingenuity, courage, and heart. That's more than they can ever predict. Sarah added, and we have you, Ryan. You've led us this far. That's why the Valorians fear us. Ryan smiled faintly. No, it's not me. It's everyone who refused to stay down. Every survivor, every fighter, every civilian who decided to fight rather than hide. That's why we'll win. The human fleet moves from hidden valleys and underground bases. Human shuttles, fighters, and rebuilt military vehicles ascended toward orbit. Rockets tore through the atmosphere, streaking like silver flames against the dark sky. Ryan piloted the lead craft. The Eagle 7 rebuilt and reinforced with improvements from Astra Station's engineers. Beside him, Sarah coordinated the fleet, issuing commands to each squad. Maintain formation, she said. Keep your distance from enemy fire and don't give up a single ship. The resistance crews responded with disciplined precision. They were ordinary humans, farmers, engineers, teachers, but in their hearts burned the will to protect their home. This was more than a battle. This was the survival of everything they loved. Engagement with the enemy high above, the Valorian fleet turned to intercept. Their ships gleamed with cold precision, their sensors scanning, their weapons ready to obliterate any human presence. High Commander Calthor watched from the flagship. They come again, he said. They dare challenge us. The first volleys of energy fire cut through the void. Human fighters dodged, countered, and returned fire. Explosions painted the darkness with streaks of blue and orange. Ryan led the charge, weaving the Eagle 7 through enemy lines. He fired the ship's pulse cannons, taking down interceptors with calculated precision. Beside him, Sarah guided smaller human ships to flank the enemy, exploiting the weaknesses revealed by Astra Station's data. Marin, controlling weapons from the rear turret, shouted, "They're breaking formation." "Keep pressing," Ryan replied. "This is our moment." The turning point as the battle raged in space, Earth itself became a battlefield. Resistance squads on the ground struck at Valorian supply hubs and communication towers, coordinating with the fleet above. Explosions rocked the cities, sending smoke into the sky. Yet the humans moved with purpose. Above the clouds, Ryan noticed the Valorian command ship, the same type that had once destroyed Astra Station, preparing to fire its massive energy cannon. "We can't let it fire," Ryan said. "If that weapon goes off, the fleet and the planet are lost," Sarah calculated quickly. "We need a distraction. All fighters focus on the flanks. I'll draw its fire, give you a clear path to the core." Ryan nodded. "Do it. Let's remind them humans don't fear impossible odds." Sacrifice and bravery, Sarah led a daring maneuver, diving through enemy fire to draw attention. Laser beams cut past her ship, narrowly missing, but her movements were precise, her mind focused. Ryan, using the distraction, flew directly toward the Valorian command ship. Pulse cannons fired relentlessly, but he pressed on. The ship's shields glowed, energy surging around it. Ryan deployed a homemade explosive device, the product of months of human ingenuity. "Now or never," he muttered. He launched the device into the energy core of the Valorian ship. The explosion tore through the vessel, shaking the surrounding fleet. Valorian ships scattered, their formation destroyed, their communication disrupted. The humans had done the impossible. Against overwhelming odds, they had crippled the enemy flagship. Victory through unity. The Valorian forces, now disorganized, began retreating. The remaining human fleet pressed the attack, seizing the opportunity. Space filled with flashes of energy and fire as interceptors were destroyed. Relays were sabotaged and supply ships were captured. On Earth, resistance fighters cheered as the orbital battles became visible in the night sky. Cities lit up with signals of victory. Humanity had endured, survived, and now fought back with strength and unity stronger than ever before. Ryan, piloting the Eagle 7, watched the battlefield with a mix of exhaustion and pride. The cost had been high. Many brave humans had fallen, but the victory was real. Humanity had shown the Valorians that courage, heart, and unity were forces even technology could not conquer. The aftermath weeks later, the Resistance consolidated its gains. Valorian ships retreated from Earth, unable to maintain control over a planet whose people refused to be broken. Astra Station coordinated communications, allowing Earth's forces to rebuild, repair, and prepare for the future. Ryan Hale stood once more among the survivors on the ground, looking at a horizon filled with rebuilding cities and forests returning to life. He spoke to the gathered crowd. "Today we've proven something important. They may have claimed victory once, but victory is not given, it is earned. We fought, we survived, and we reclaimed our home. Humanity will never bow to fear. We will never stay down. The crowd erupted in cheers. Children waved small flags, engineers repaired machinery, and soldiers saluted their captain. Hope had returned, strong and unshakable. A new dawn high above, the stars twinkled as if acknowledging humanity's triumph. The Valorians had underestimated humans, believing that strength alone could crush the spirit. They had forgotten that courage, unity, and determination were the greatest weapons of all. Ryan looked at Sarah, who smiled beside him. "We did it," she said. Ryan shook his head, eyes on the horizon. "This is just the beginning. We survived, yes. But now we build. We teach, we explore. We make sure that never again will anyone think humanity can be defeated." The first rays of sunlight bathed the broken landscape in gold. People worked together, laughed together, and dreamed together. Humanity had survived the impossible, and now the future belonged to them once more. And in the hearts of every human on Earth, the story of one person who refused to stay down became a legend, a promise and a reminder. No matter the odds, no matter the enemy, humanity will always rise. The dawn of a new era had begun,